Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
I am absolutely fantastic. How about yourself?
I'm also fantastic, and I've got a fun guest coming up later in the program. I'm going to be visiting with author Ben Orlin about his new book, Math with Bad Drawings. He's got a book where it's explaining math, and it's all kinds of tips on how to do better at math, but he's been kind of poked fun of on the internet because when he's doing these examples, he draws pictures,
Okay.
and they're not good, so I love the fact that he
But
just...
is he trying to be funny, or he's not trying to be funny?
He just embraced the fact that he's not a good artist. So, Math with Bad Drawings. I'm excited to chat with him. I've got a quote for today as well from Steve Jobs. He said, "Death is very likely the single best invention of life. It's life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. Right now, the new is you. But someday, not too long from now, you'll gradually become the old and be cleared away. Sorry to be so dramatic, but it's quite true. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life."
That is a long quote.
That is.
It's amazing he got so much done when he talks so much.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday. If you have a dog, listen to this. FreshPatch.com is a subscription service that will send you a box with a fresh patch of grass for your dog to use for a few weeks. Then they send you a new fresh patch and you discard the old one. You can throw it in the trash, use it for compost, or even put it in your yard and it'll grow into the ground. FreshPatch.com has thousands of happy dog families who love this concept, especially in the colder months. Try it now for a little less. Use promo code RADIO to save 10%. That's FreshPatch.com, promo code RADIO. Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. It's Friday, the 28th day of September. It is National North Carolina Day, National Drink Beer Day. Hey, cheers to that. Oh, hey, I got to show you something here. We'll get back on this in a second. But I got the book here. It's called Make Yourself a Better Beer Drinker, Beer Hacks and 100 Tricks, Tips, and Projects. We're going to be talking to the author.
Like
We're going to be talking to the author of that here. Yeah.
It's got a little bottle opener on it.
It does. It's
it?
cool. It's also National Good Neighbor Day, National Strawberry Cream Pie Day, and National Gay Men's HIV and AIDS Awareness Day. So all of that happening on this Friday. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. Radio. It's a pretty amazing marketing tool. But like many tools, it works best when used properly. Like, let's take this weed whacker. I could use this to trim my hair. Yikes. Hope that grows back. But that's not what weed whackers are for. Tools work much better when you use them for their proper use, just like radio. If you want help making radio work better for your business, that's our business. RadioReallyWorks.com. Get better results with the money you're already spending. RadioReallyWorks.com. Time now for Is It a Golf Course or Is It a Rehab Center? Heidi, are you ready for this one?
I am ready.
Okay, tell me. Passages in Malibu, California. Passages. Golf course or rehab center? Passages.
Golf course.
Passages? No, it's a rehab center.
It sounded too much like a rehab center.
See, you got to go with your heart, baby. You got to go with your heart. Thank you for listening to Is It a Golf Course or Is It a Rehab Center? Brought to you by TimeForRehab.com. We're getting to the time of year where we start planning for holiday parties and other events that often include alcohol. I encourage you to have some alcohol-free options as well. And if you are drinking, be sure to have a designated driver. If you or someone you know has a problem with drugs or alcohol, there is help. TimeForRehab.com would love to connect you with someone who can be there for you or that loved one. If you feel like it's time to finally get the help you need, we're here for you. TimeForRehab.com. That's TimeForRehab.com. And this is your brain on drugs, courtesy of TimeForRehab.com. When firefighters in Niceville, Florida, let's pause for a second. Doesn't that sound like a great place to live? Niceville.
It does.
Where are you from? Niceville. Can you imagine if you're crabby and you live in Niceville? They make the move, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, when firefighters arrived at this home last week, they could see smoke coming from inside, and a naked man opened the door. He said, "I'm sorry," and then he closed the door. Police officers arrived shortly thereafter. The man came to the door again and left it open and went back into the house. He showed no signs of understanding the danger he was in. There were several things on fire inside of his home, including some towels. Based on the investigation, he tried to bake cookies on a George Foreman grill that he left unattended.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The
you
grill?
Can't grill cookies.
That would be grilling cookies, not baking cookies. Anyway, he threw some dry towels on top of it thinking that would put out the fire. No, it just made it worse. So he admitted
a wet towel, maybe.
Maybe. He admitted to drinking 2 liters of vodka and smoking marijuana. That's
2
a lot.
liters of vodka?
He was examined at the scene, no life-threatening injuries. So, bizarre story from Florida, from Niceville, Florida. But that is what happens when your brain is on drugs.
John and Heidi.
Now, big screen, a little screen, Jersey Shore cast member Pauly D says he's had some nookie in some crazy places, and there's a big story about that. I don't know why that's...
Why does anybody
care? I don't care. I really don't. Hey, the internet continues to react to the shock of Kylie Jenner's claim that she never had cereal with milk on it before. So she only has eaten dry cereal. And again, this is what we talk about. I don't know why. Chevy Chase told the Washington Post the current cast of Saturday Night Live is producing, quote, the worst humor in the world. There's actually another word in there.
I absolutely agree.
I skipped a word that's not ready for prime time.
It's awful. I can't even watch it anymore.
You know,
it's
we haven't in a while.
Terrible.
So I haven't, to be fair, we haven't watched it for like a year and a half. So
because it was getting so terrible.
Maybe it's better. I doubt it.
I doubt it.
All right. This has been Big Screen, Little Screen, brought to you by ChannelSurferTV.com. Radio. It's a pretty amazing marketing tool. But like many tools, it works best when used properly. Like, let's take this weed whacker. I could use this to trim my hair. Yikes. Hope that grows back. But that's not what weed whackers are for. Tools work much better when you use them for their proper use, just like radio. If you want help making radio work better for your business, that's our business. RadioReallyWorks.com. Get better results with the money you're already spending. RadioReallyWorks.com. Now, your scoop of the day. A Gallup poll has the Republican Party approval rating at its highest level in 7 years. That's 45%, by the way. The Democrat approval rating is at 40%. So if you're wondering where they compare, 45% and 40%. Here's the thing. Neither side should get too excited because you're both under 50%.
Well,
like, more people disapprove of both sides than approve.
And those polls are never accurate at all.
Well, it's a Gallup poll, so they're one of the more trusted polls out there as far as polls go. A survey by the University of Maryland found that divorce rates have fallen by about 18%, which is a huge number.
That's good.
Over the last 8 years, from 2008 to 2016, the survey found millennials are the most likely group to stay married. So I don't know why that is, but it's cool. So you know what, millennials? I got to say this. I'm proud of you. That's a good thing. Might be the first time I've said that out loud. It sounds funny coming from me because a lot of the stories we have are not so great for millennials. But here's the thing, and I don't blame a whole generation. It's just usually it's somebody that does something pretty knuckleheaded. You're like, let me guess. So the cool thing is, this is good news. So millennials, hats off to you, man.
It is very good news.
A Wisconsin robbery suspect led police on a high-speed chase only to surrender after he was swarmed by a group of mosquitoes. So the mosquitoes pulled a sting operation to get this guy to...
I see what you did there.
Oh, I'm so glad I got that in. I got to just bask in the moment there. Okay, thanks. That was like the best dad joke of the day so far. So I just had to get that in. An Arizona mother was arrested after she left her 4-year-old daughter home so she could go out and party.
Oh, yeah, there
don't
you
do
go.
that. That's a bad idea. Oh, by the way, which generation do you think she was in? Okay, we'll just move on. 2 female competitors have quit the Vietnamese edition of The Bachelor so they could date each other. So it's a interesting twist. You think the writers of the show saw that coming? They're like, okay, here's what we're going to do. No, there's no way. A study by the University of Oregon found that an octopus becomes very cuddly when they take the mood drug ecstasy. What?
Who's giving?
I don't know.
What's the plural? Octopi?
Yeah, apparently.
Who's giving octopi ecstasy?
Apparently, this was when they did the study with Bill Cosby. They were like, hey, what can we No, he was not involved. It was the University of Oregon. For some reason, getting octopus is high. I don't know how you say it. Getting an octopus high on ecstasy and found out they become very cuddly. So I just don't get it. And the last thing that we're going to talk about, a University of Missouri survey found that married men earn more money than any other group. Married men earn more money than any other group. I got to say, on behalf of all married men everywhere, I've never seen it. Like, what are you doing with all this money I'm making, Heidi? She's my wife. Clearly, there's some sort of mistake in our marriage because I'm pretty sure you get it all. I do have an allowance now, so then I get yelled at for spending it on food. What did you think I was going to spend it on?
This is why you don't need much of an allowance.
Yeah, that's true. This has been today's Scoop of the Day. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show. We're getting to the time of year where we start planning for holiday parties and other events that often include alcohol. I encourage you to have some alcohol-free options as well. And if you are drinking, be sure to have a designated driver. If you or someone you know has a problem with drugs or alcohol, there is help. Timeforrehab.com would love to connect you with someone who can be there for you or that loved one. If you feel like it's time to finally get the help you need, we're here for you. Timeforrehab.com. That's timeforrehab.com. Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We got a special guest joining us today, Ben Orlin. He's got a book called Math with Bad Drawings. It's a life-changing book for the math estranged and people with the math enamored type of life as well. So if people love math, they're going to like the book. And if they maybe struggle with math, either way, this is going to be kind of an eye-opener, isn't it, Ben?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. Thanks for having me on, John.
Absolutely. Now, there's 24 different chapters that cover all kinds of different topics. Some things as interesting as like the Electoral College, which, every 4 years we hear about that and it gets very confusing, but you kind of explain that. And you also talk about things like human genetics. When you were putting this book together, how did you decide what went into the book? Because there's so many things you could talk about. Math is like limitless, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely true. I mean, you can sort of come up with any topic in the world, and you're going to be able to find a little bit of mathematics somewhere in there. What I tried to pick were topics that exactly for the, you mentioned the math estranged and the math enamored. I wanted to pick topics where I thought it would be accessible both for people who didn't have, a huge math background or hadn't thought about math in a few years, and also still interesting for people who have been thinking about math lately.
So let's talk about your background, Ben. How is it that you got so interested in math and what led to this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I talk about at the start of the book about math as kind of being about logical play. I mean, a lot of math starts with just messing around with rules and seeing what happens. So I think as a kid, I remember doing that a lot. I wasn't that into a lot of sports, but I loved messing with the rules for sports and inventing new sports. And we had a terrible house for playing. We had a lovely house. It was terrible for playing capture the flag. And so we would invent these weird variations on capture the flag where we sort of would tweak the rules and there'd be a neutral zone where either team could go. And I think, although I didn't think about it as mathematical at the time, I think that's probably where my interest in math started.
Now, the name of the book is Math with Bad Drawings, and there's a reason for that. You're kind of known for your illustrations while you're teaching a subject, and, they're not all bad, but that's kind of the...
They're pretty bad, I think. I mean, I stand by it. I've been doing a blog for 5 years, and they've definitely gotten much better every single year. They've improved a lot. And still calling it Math with Bad Drawings is definitely truth in advertising.
So the book just came out recently. Was it the 18th? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So the book is brand new, but there's already some rave reviews from math aficionados that are loving this book. And the thing that's really cool for me is I think it's a great idea for people who maybe struggle with math and it's not necessarily a fun subject in school for them. Math can be fun, can't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I really enjoy it. I know as a teacher, I'm not always giving my students the most fun experience. And a lot of that is that teaching is kind of a busy job. You're teaching however many lessons a day, and you're doing however many lessons a week. And I just don't always give my I try, but I don't always give my very best lessons. So what I enjoyed about working on the book was a chance to kind of step back and really take my time and make sure that every chapter was polished and would be kind of a fun experience for the reader.
Again, the book is called Math with Bad Drawings, Illuminating the Ideas That Shape Our Reality. Our guest today is the author of that book, Ben Orlin. Now, is this your first book, or have you done other books before this, Ben?
This is my first book. Yeah, I'll be doing another one with the same publisher, but this was the debut album.
But the cool thing is, you're not new to writing. You've been doing a lot of writing online for quite some time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm a millennial, so you do lots of freelancing and blogging and tweeting before settling down to write something that's actually physical paper.
So now there's some info in here talking about building a Death Star, and if I don't ask you that, all of my Star Wars friends and fans would be disappointed. So there's a whole topic about building the Death Star. Is that right?
Yeah, that's probably my favorite chapter in the book. There's a section in the book on geometry, and I thought it was interesting that you've got in the most famous sci-fi property that we have, you've got this spherical space station, which is a very weird shape for a space station. It's part of why it's so memorable. And so the chapter is sort of an interview with different figures involved in the Death Star, Darth Vader and others, about this sort of the choices that went into picking a spherical shape for the Death Star and what some of the consequences of that were.
Because it would have been a lot more affordable for them to make it with straight lines, wouldn't it?
I would think so, yeah. I think you run into a problem where you've got to order these very slightly curved elements for the ship, because it's something like, if it's got a diameter of 150 kilometers, which I think is the number that people tend to use, it's going to be such slight curvature, you're never going to see it with the naked eye. So in theory, the contractor could be shipping you just totally straight steel bars, and you wouldn't notice until you were halfway through building it, and suddenly the Death Star has a strange bulge to it.
See, right there, that you already made math fun. So I think that's good.
Perfect.
Again, the book is just recently come out. It's called Math with Bad Drawings, Illuminating the Ideas That Shape Our Reality. Our guest today is the author of that book, Ben Orlin. Ben, thank you for making math fun. I appreciate that. That's awesome.
No, thanks. Well, thanks for listening to it. I know it's not the easiest subject for most people, and not the most fun subject. So I always appreciate it when people take the time to reckon with it again.
And if you know somebody that may be still in school and struggling with math, this could be a really cool way for them to see math from a whole new perspective. And again, I think that would be awesome. I know that is a subject a lot of kids struggle with. So anything we can do to make math a little more fun, I think, is a good thing, Ben.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, and I know there's a lot of constraints on teachers. So when I'm teaching, I know that there's so many pressures, and you have to do things because the principal says so, because the teachers say so, and the curriculum says so. And so getting to write a book was fun and liberating because I didn't have to worry about a lot of those pressures. I just got to pick bits of math that I thought were fun.
Well, again, our guest today, Ben Orlin, his new book, it's available now, Math with Bad Drawings, Illuminating the Ideas That Shape Our Reality. I've got a link to it in our show notes to make it really easy to find at johnandheidishow.com.
John and Heidi.
If you want to grow your business, you can add more customers or sell more stuff to your current customers or a combination of both. There's no other way to grow your business. Just those two. Add more customers or sell more stuff to your current customers. And if you already have a relationship with your customers and you have their email address, you can reach out to them with special offers to easily grow your sales, and you'll make your customers even happier. Let the experts at Constant Contact help. Get a free trial now. Text Radio Trial to number 22828. That's Radio Trial, all one word, to number 22828.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The voice of Mickey Mouse and the voice of Minnie Mouse got married in real life. We talked about that once.
We did.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you another one.
Okay.
And by the way, they have IRL for the acronym.
In real life.
I didn't know that was the thing. That's what that stands for?
Did you have to Google it?
No. I just knew from when we talked about this like 2 months ago. So in real life, apparently, is IRL. How about this? Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
A can of Mountain Dew will dissolve an entire mouse. Ew.
Ew.
Eee.
That's pretty disgusting.
Yeah, doesn't say how long it takes.
Imagine what it does to your insides.
Well, you probably don't have it in there long enough to do that, unless you're constantly replacing it with more and more and more. Scary stuff. Thanks for listening to a couple of fun facts on this edition of the John and Heidi Show. If you have a dog, listen to this. FreshPatch.com is a subscription service that will send you a box with a fresh patch of grass for your dog to use for a few weeks. Then they send you a new fresh patch and you discard the old one. You can throw it in the trash, use it for compost, or even put it in your yard and it'll grow into the ground. FreshPatch.com has thousands of happy dog families who love this concept, especially in the colder months. Try it now for a little less. Use promo code RADIO to save 10%. That's FreshPatch.com, promo code RADIO. Time now for the grandiloquent word of the day, and it's oniomania. Oniomania. What do you think oniomania means?
I honestly couldn't tell you.
Oniomania. Oniomania. It's fun to say. Oniomania. It's an obsessive or uncontrollable urge to buy things. Heidi has oniomania. The good news is she's a very thrifty oniomaniac.
I am extremely thrifty.
So she'll go and like buy 7 cartloads of stuff, and I'm like, "What did you buy?" And she's like, "I only spent $7." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." Also, an abnormal impulse for buying things, oniomania. So Heidi is an oniomaniac, I think is the way we say that. Either way, it's fun to say, and it's today's grandiloquent word. We're getting to the time of year where we start planning for holiday parties and other events that often include alcohol. I encourage you to have some alcohol-free options as well. And if you are drinking, be sure to have a designated driver. If you or someone you know has a problem with drugs or alcohol, there is help. TimeForRehab.com would love to connect you with someone who can be there for you or that loved one. If you feel like it's time to finally get the help you need, we're here for you. TimeForRehab.com. That's TimeForRehab.com. Now some weird news for you out of Detroit at the Commercial Park Stadium. Somebody recorded a person spitting onto a pizza that he was preparing for a customer.
Oh.
A crime for which he's expected to soon be charged with. Seen in a brief video posted by a coworker onto Instagram, 21-year-old Jalen Curley spit into a tin containing pizza dough, then covered it up with his saliva with a ladle full of tomato sauce. He was recorded preparing the pizza during the September 21st Detroit Tigers game against Kansas City Royals. He was fired, by the service
hope so.
that operates the concessions at the ballpark when they learned of the video. He's been arrested now by police, and the prosecutor's office is reviewing a warrant and preparing criminal charges in connection with food tampering. A spokesperson for the prosecutor said that a charging decision will be made soon at a Detroit criminal courthouse. So there you go. It's don't do that to people.
You can't trust anybody.
You just don't do that. I mean, doesn't matter. They're paying like $10 for a slice of pizza. The last thing they want is spit on it. I mean,
so disgusting.
You don't do that. Just a bad idea. And that's why it's today's weird news.
John and Heidi.
Now, today's moment of duh. A Shelbyville, Indiana man said he was pistol whipped last week over an argument about Bruno Mars.
What?
Yeah. He said he and another friend went to visit their 50-year-old friend, a friend of 50 years, so he's older than that, in Greenwood, Indiana. The victim said that the three of them were talking, and he started arguing over whether a certain song was sung by Bruno Mars. That's when the victim said that the accused said that the song was not sung by Bruno Mars, and the accused escalated very quickly and then pistol whipped him. He said he pulled a gun out, pointed it at him. The victim said he called the accused a chicken, and then it just says ... So I'm sure it was more than that.
Yeah,
those 4 dots stand for
pretty sure
something.
I know what that means.
And he swung the gun at him, striking him in the face. They call that pistol whipping. The victim told the police the gun went off when it hit him. He said that it took a swing at the other man, then the gun went off again. The accused was arrested on suspicion of battery with injury and criminal recklessness with a deadly weapon. So that is definitely...
That is insane.
This could have been the weird news or the moment
I bet this is the one and only fight ever that involved Bruno Mars.
Probably. I think Bruno seems like a nice guy.
That's usually don't tend to escalate.
Not usually. But that's today's moment of duh.
John and Heidi.
If you want to grow your business, you can add more customers or sell more stuff to your current customers or a combination of both. There's no other way to grow your business. Just those two. Add more customers or sell more stuff to your current customers. And if you already have a relationship with your customers and you have their email address, you can reach out to them with special offers to easily grow your sales, and you'll make your customers even happier. Let the experts at Constant Contact help. Get a free trial now. Text Radio Trial to number 22828. That's Radio Trial, all one word, to number 22828.
Time now for Fake News or Florida. This is where I ask my beautiful bride, Heidi, to tell me if this is a true story that happened in the great state of Florida or if it's just fake news, something that we made up to try to trick you.
All right.
So, fake news or Florida? A Martin County man was turned in by his neighbors for gardening in the nude on his front lawn. Fake news or Florida?
Florida.
Yeah, sadly.
I knew this one.
You sent that to me, I think.
I did.
So, why did I read that one? I think, did we already talk about that on the radio too?
I think we did.
I think we did. Either way. Well, we got it. And you got it right. I just, here's the thing, Heidi. I just feel bad for you because you've been swinging and missing so much
thank
lately.
you. Thank you.
I thought I'd just kind of toss you an underhand.
Taking pity on me.
What do you call that? A softball question? Make it easy.
I appreciate it.
Give you a simple one. So, we've got some good news to get to. That is on the way. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show on a Friday.
John and Heidi.
This portion of The John and Heidi Show is brought to you by The John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying The John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always like to wrap things up around here with good news, and I think this is good news. It comes your way courtesy of Odiva. That is the monthly subscription service just for the ladies. All the details at radiosavings.com. And this is a sad story, but a happy story. A caring ambulance worker takes a detour to grant a dying man's simple last wish for some ice cream.
Aww.
So, the sad news is we got a guy that's not doing well here. But thanks to the attention and kindness of 2 Australian ambulance workers, a man who was dying was able to have the last meal that he most desired. After 17 years of fighting pancreatic cancer, Ron McCartney was set to be taken into a care center earlier this month. His wife Sharon, however, needed to call for a medical escort after her husband's sickness took a bad turn. The paramedics conducted an evaluation in the ambulance. They discovered the 72-year-old had not been eating for several days. The paramedics, identified only as Kate and Hannah, asked the senior "If you could eat anything, what would it be?" He replied, "A caramel sundae." The medics then detoured from their route, depending on where you're from, and they went and bought him a sweet treat before going to the hospital. After Sharon expressed her appreciation for the gesture, the pair posed for a photo with Mr. McCartney and his sundae. And I've got a link to that. And Hannah and Kate said they were humbled by the note of gratitude which underlies often unseen aspect of patient care. It's the caring. And that is the thing. You know, when you think about their job, it's got to be a tough job. So many times they're taking people, for their very last ride.
Yeah.
And this time, at least the guy said, "Hey, you know what? This is what I'd like. If I could have that." And they did it. They went, and it's really cool. I've got a link to the story. Sadly, he passed away, so he is no longer with us. But his daughter commented on the photo to show her own appreciation for the compassion shown to her father just before he passed away. So
that's awesome.
What
a
neat.
Beautiful story.
Absolutely. And stories like that just make me smile. And again, it's sad because he's not with us anymore, but it's so happy and so wonderful because
they cared enough to think of him as a person and not just
a passenger.
Job.
Yeah, it was such a neat thing. I get a link in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday.